Today, I'm going to show you how to mutate yeast super easily at home. Even if you don't have a background in biotechnology or even really growing yeast, this is something you can pretty easily do at home, really putting the DIY in DIY biotech today. My name is Nick. I have a PhD in bioengineering where I did genetic engineering in yeast, and then I worked a year in the synthetic biology field. And you can see here, this is before mutagenesis and this is after mutagenesis. So a lot more cells on this plate than on this plate. And we'll look in more detail on the mutants that we create here. But first, I want to step back a little bit and show you the yeast that we started with. So this is a red yeast that I isolated in a previous video. It's in the genus Rhodoterola, most likely. Pretty common genus of yeast to find all over the world in all sorts of different environments. This one I isolated from an orange tree leaf. So how do you get started here? Well, I'll include links to all of these in the description, but this is what you want to start with, some form of agar. You need to have petri dishes. You can also just buy the petri dishes online. However, I recommend making your own petri dishes so that you can have a unique screening condition. And I talked about screening in the last video some, but you really need to have some selective pressure to get the phenotype that you want. The phenotype is just the trait in the yeast or the bacteria that you want. You gotta have some selection pressure, whether that's just looking at the colonies with your eyes and seeing which one you like and which one you don't like, or having a particular chemical that selects for a particular mutation or phenotype. So you have your petri dishes. The next thing you need to do is isolate your yeast. You can go back to my previous video to see that. Maybe you already have your yeast or bacteria. And then you need to grow it in a liquid culture. So this looks sciencey and complicated, but really it's not. I took this nutrient broth that I got on Amazon. Their affiliate links below, they don't really help that much. It's just the easiest way to show you where I get things. But in this case, I used this nutrient broth. You could use yeast peptone dextrose or YPD. I have a lot of videos on my channel on how to make these different kinds of media and things like that. There's a lot of different media you could use. It really depends on the yeast or the bacteria that you want. But I just followed the recipe on the box, which is 13 grams in a liter of water, divided it by 4 and made 250 mils. You do not need to use a fancy shake flask. You do not need to use a fancy shaker incubator. What I would recommend is just putting a stir bar in here and then putting it on a stir plate. Stir plates are like $20. They're super cheap. You can probably get them even cheaper than that. And then you sterilize this by putting it in a pressure cooker or, in my case, an Instant Pot. Just for an hour at the highest pressure setting. That's basically the same thing as an autoclave. So that sterilizes your media. And when it comes out, you add any antibiotics that you might want to add. And then you let it cool, then add the antibiotics. And then you take a colony of your yeast and put it in the liquid culture. So now you have your liquid culture. This is the easiest way you're going to mutate yeast or bacteria. And then what you want to do, this is a multiple decade old technology here. This is just a UVC lamp. Very specifically needs to be UVC. Very specifically, UVC is super dangerous. This can cause skin burns and cause you to permanently go blind. So you really need to do this in a closed room where you complete the circuit to turn on this bulb outside of the room. This is very dangerous. UVC does not go through plastic or glass as far as I understand. So if you have safety glasses that seal around your eyes, you should be good. But I did this in a separate room and completed the circuit outside of the room. Okay, so that's the UVC lamp. You have a petri dish with your liquid culture that you swirl around a little bit. You go outside of the room, you turn on the lamp. The lamp blasts the cells with UVC light. And UVC, the 254 nanometer wavelength specifically, breaks DNA. It really messes up DNA, and the cells try to repair that DNA through their DNA repair mechanisms, but often they make mistakes in repairing that DNA. So A lot of the cells will die, and that's a good thing. That means it's working. And some of the cells will have damaged DNA that's repaired, and in that repair process, the cell makes a mistake in the repair. So you're swirling the Petri dish under the UVC lamp. You leave the room to turn the UVC lamp on for various periods of time. And then during those different periods, or after each period of time, so I did 5 minutes, I did 20 minutes, 60 minutes, and 120 minutes. After those periods of time, you need to go in and you need to plate your cells. Now, you might be tempted to take one of these cotton swabs, these sterile cotton swabs that I mentioned in a previous video, really easy to work with, and just go straight into the Petri dish with the liquid and swab it on your plate. And that might work for you if your cells are dilute enough, but most likely your cells are not going to be dilute enough. At this cell density, this is an optical density at 600 nanometers, so OD 600 of like 5 to 10. That's what an OD of 5 to 10 looks like, maybe even a little less than 5. And that's roughly 100 million, so 10 to the 7, I believe. I haven't done this in a while, maybe 10 to the 8 cells per milliliter. And if you take that cotton swab, you're going to be picking up probably 100 microliters. So you're putting, 10 to 100 million cells on a plate. You're not going to be able to count them. Like if you have too many cells on a plate, you're just not going to be able to count them or even see the difference. You'll just have a lawn of cells. So it's very important that you do a serial dilution according to how many cells you have. So what that means is you take your pipette, you can get cheap versions of these, and you take a sterile 1.5 mil centrifuge tube and you do 900 microliters of sterile water or buffer or whatever, and then 100 microliters of your cells, and you mix it around, and you take 100 microliters of that and you put it in 900 microliters of fresh sterile buffer or water, and you mix it around, and you can do several dilutions. So each of those is a 10 times dilution. I did 2 10 times dilution. So I had 2 tubes per time point, and then I took 100 microliters with the pipette and squirted it onto the dry Petri dish, and then swabbed it around until the plate was completely dry with the cotton swab. So with that technique, I anticipated maybe 1,000 colonies per plate, and this is the T equals 0 time point. There we go. That's the T equals 0 time point. You can see there's probably about 1,000 colonies on there. You can pause the video and count if you want to. But there's a lot of colonies on there. But they're distinct from each other, so that is exactly what we want. We want the colonies to be separate so we can identify individual colonies which are descended from individual cells that we put on the plate, right? So at those different time points, different amounts of cells are going to die. For UVC mutagenesis, or really any mutagenesis technique, chemical mutagenesis as well, I've seen to aim between 50 to 99% death of cells, and those remaining survivors should be mutagenized. So this is the T0 time point again, and then this is the T120 time point. Way, way, way different. Probably killed 99% of the cells, maybe 99.9% of the cells. Something like that. At the very least, 90% of the cells are dead. That means the UV mutagenesis is working really well. So here is T0, here is T5, here is T60, and then T120. And you can see there are way less cells the further along in the mutagenesis that you go. You really do need to make sure these cells are mixed and make sure your liquid level is very, very shallow, because the UVC light doesn't penetrate water very well. So make sure your liquid is very, very, very shallow when you're doing this mutagenesis. And you want to just cross your fingers that at the end you have some sort of mutant. So in this case, I chose this red yeast because I wanted to find a mutant that has the carotenoid synthesis pathway corrupted in some way. So the carotenoid pathway is very, very well defined. You can go look. It's like the CRT gene, CRTE through whatever. It makes you know, the carotenoids that are in tomatoes or carrots. Beta carotene is one of them. So that pathway is well defined. Rhodotorula is a very well defined genus of yeast. It produces these carotenoids partially as a UVC protectant, so I really had to blast these with UVC light. The distance from the light source to the liquid is really important as well, and it follows the inverse square law. So any kind of radiation follows the inverse square law. So if you have the distance, you quadruple the intensity of the light. So just keep that in mind. I had the UVC lamp very, very close to my cells. And hopefully at the end you get a mutant. So in my case, we're just looking for a different color. And you can see here that we got a mutant. We actually got 2 white mutants, or less tinted mutants. And you might say, okay, the carotenoid pathway is successfully broken. You need to keep this in mind. There are a lot of ways that you can break a phenotype, right? Like potentially there's some way upstream precursor that's required to produce these molecules, and the enzyme that produces that precursor is broken. So, you know, it could be somewhere along the pathway. It could also be that you've reduced some signaling molecule or some cofactor or something like that, or changed how the gene is expressed. Maybe it's just expressed less. So when you're looking at mutants, you know, you really have no idea what component you've broken necessarily. You don't know if you've actually broken the gene that you want to break, and that requires further testing, and maybe I'll talk about that in future videos. But that's basically UVC mutagenesis. Again, decades old technology, but super, super cool and easy to do at home. Go out and isolate your own yeast and bacteria and do the UVC mutagenesis, and let me know how it goes in the comments below. I'm really looking forward to it. If you have suggestions for future videos, please let me know. If you want to support the channel, leave a nice comment if you would like, or you can become a channel member, but only if you can afford it. If you're a struggling student, please do not give me your money. I also have those affiliate Amazon links in the description below. They don't really give me much money, but it's something. So go check those out. If you're gonna buy any of these products, use those links, please. As always, subscribe, like the video. Thank you so much for watching.